We have a previa, a low-lying placenta. It is conservative management. So she was having a spotting on and off. The whole coagulation, the whole discussion about all this is at the end of the day, we have to have a safe mother and safe healthy baby.
Yes. And coming to another case that you were telling me, ma'am, about abruption in pregnancy. You had dealt with a patient recently. So how did she present to you, ma'am? What was
actually she conceived spontaneously, primary, and she was having a spotting on and off, and her platelet counts were normal, her hemoglobin was borderline, and it was a low-lying placenta. So we presumed it was because of the low-lying placenta, and she came with one bout of bleeding. So initially what we do is, when we have a placenta previa, a low-lying placenta, it is conservative management. So we gave her the conservative management, bed rest and everything. But then one day she came with one good bout of bleeding and her hemoglobin came down. So immediately we did the coagulation profile. Then to our surprise, for that one small bout, she had an prolonged INR. Her INR was more than 1.7. So we were a little worried because the baby was doing well. Fetal heart was good, baby movements were good. So we thought we'll give her some time, for the lung maturity of the baby. So we started her on steroids and then we gave her 4 FFPs. So, but then we were worried why only the INR should be raised. So we did a thorough coagulation workup for her. Nothing was abnormal. So with the second bout of bleeding and the same thing, it immediately fell. So that was something really interesting. So immediately we, with the blood and blood products, we did a section for her. But we just bought time, maybe a week or 10 days. So we were able to save the baby and the mother.
I think it was a timely call. No,
yes.
So it was a real challenging
case. Yes, exactly. Because 28 weeks and bleeding, we don't, beyond 28 weeks, of course, we call it abruption. Here, less than 28 weeks, we call it like a threatened abortion. Then we have these kind of problems can arise with even when the BP goes up for any patients, and suddenly the placenta can separate even before they can go into labor.
Yeah.
So sometimes we face this situation called HELP, isn't it?
We had a case with similar to HELP. This thing, the patient had a known hypertensive, and in pregnancy it was diagnosed maybe at about after the 5th month she was diagnosed with hypertension. And she had come very controlled hypertension, not a problem at all. She was a primary gravida, slightly on the obese side, and it's a singleton pregnancy, and she happened to have labor pains at term. We tried to pull it up to about 37-38 weeks. She came with spontaneous pains, and but also associated with a lot of headache. So we had put her on IV antihypertensive medications, and she had progressed very quickly. One thing in preeclampsia and gestational hypertension, all these patients, they progress quite fast. The labor was quite fast, and she progressed and delivered the baby vaginally, after which her BP ideally was controlled with medications, but after about a couple of hours she started having a heavy bout of bleeding, and maybe she had a little more than usual bleeding after the delivery, and her BP post delivery shot up to uncontrollable levels that she needed 2 hypertensive medications, and then we evaluated her right away, and her liver functions were on the higher side, and we also ordered for a peripheral smear, and her coagulation profile was ordered, and she ended up having a HELP syndrome, what we say as elevated liver enzymes, and abnormal peripheral smear study was there, and it
Low
was really
platelet
low
count.
platelet count, and other things were also there on her this thing, and it was literally a very challenging case, and we had to keep her under observation for a prolonged period of time. Of course, the baby was doing well, but mother's was a stormy course, and the patient subsequently settled. So in these kind of patients, we have to anticipate in preeclampsia, gestational hypertension, we have to anticipate something called the HELP syndrome, and I think that was a
Yes.
really
that
narrow
that
escape of the patients.
So that is what we have to know. Again we are reiterating on the importance of knowing the coagulation profile.
Yeah.
So once it turns the corner, or we need to really deliver the patient, again we have to know the baseline coagulation profile. So see, because hypertensions mostly they are more prone for this kind of complications like a postpartum hemorrhage. So we have to be literally armed with everything, including your coagulation profile, ready blood and blood products, and things like that.
Now that the IVF is on the rise, ma'am, and we have a lot of IVF conceptions, and certain bad obstetric history patients, that is previous abortions and multiple abortions and things like that. Such kind of patients also come who are already taking anticoagulation to start off with for any kind of APLA, what we say, antiphospholipid antibodies, APLA positive patients. So what is something that we should be very careful in handling such kind of patients on anticoagulants?
Yeah, these patients usually they are on two types of this thing: antiplatelet agent and an anticoagulant. Like an aspirin they may be taking 75 or 150 milligram, and plus inaxaparin. So we have to follow them up very carefully, because they can go in for a low platelet count, thrombocytopenia. So, and we have to know the basic coagulation profile. Frequent monitoring is necessary, even though it is troublesome having the injection daily for those patients, but in the long run it is very helpful for them to carry the pregnancy through to term. But we should always warn them. Like, I had a case even before the inaxaparin came into the market. We had to use she presented with a deep vein thrombosis at 14 weeks. So then we had to give her IV heparin, the regular heparin, and followed up with heparin twice a day.
So the current kind of
the current low dose heparin is only once a day, but the other heparin is twice a day, 5,000 units. So it was very cumbersome for the patient. But the thing is, she came at around 39 weeks with a small bout of bleeding, and she had just then taken her heparin. But of course, we had to give her the antidote and do a C-section so that we can save the baby and the mother.
So the baby was absolutely...
No, the baby was a good size baby, and 3.8 kg, and mother also was good. Yeah.
So that is about the anticoagulation in pregnancy. So the other any other case scenarios that you have come across, and what for the mother, what more advice that we should be giving her in terms of if she's taking any anticoagulation or antiplatelet medicines?
They have to inform us as soon as they feel anything different from the usual, like sudden pain, abdomen, or sudden loss of fetal movements. They should come to the hospital immediately, so that we'll be prepared to do whatever is necessary for the patient. So even though they are on anticoagulants, that doesn't mean they can be complacent about it. So any problems that is unusual, or any pain or any bleeding or spotting, they should immediately come to the hospital. Because another case of bad obstetric history which I handled was, she was really APLA positive, and she was on aspirin and inaxaparin. But even with all that, she used to have bouts of bleeding.
Oh, that is very scary.
That is very scary. So we have to stop. We have to stop,
Restart.
and then once the bleeding settles, we have to restart. She will be all right for another week, and again she will have bleeding. She will come to the hospital crying,
So
and
challenging.
it was challenging. And finally, we had to terminate the pregnancy at 34 weeks. The baby was IUGR, growth restricted baby. It was only 1.2 kg. Finally, we had to stop the inaxaparin. Even the aspirin she could not tolerate. She will immediately come with bleeding. So we had to literally monitor her with the Doppler and growth, and just give supportive therapy, and we delivered her at around 32 weeks, I think.
That was very.
32 or 34. It was long time back. So
I think it would be a lot on the mental trauma for the mother also, undergoing such a, and of course with a preterm baby in hand, I think it's really challenging. I think we have most of our experiences. I think we have shared, ma'am.
shared exactly.
So
of course, there'll be lots more to talk about, but I think
it's going to be endless.
endless.
But,
But these are some of the salient ones that we could talk about. Especially they involve the coagulation profile, the importance of it.
thank you for enlightening us with such beautiful cases, ma'am, where we had a challenging mother and baby, and the outcome, at the end of the day, the outcome also should be good. So thank you for discussing into the importance and of the coagulation abnormalities, ma'am. Thank you very much.
The whole coagulation, the whole discussion about all this is, at the end of the day, we have to have a safe mother and
Safe
safe
baby.
healthy baby. Yes, that is what we all want to. We all want. That's it, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank
ma'am.
you very much,
Thank you.
Ranjana.
Thank you, ma'am.